survive and advance. It's only December, but this is a game that you talk about with March surviving and advancing, although the Tide avoids disaster in North Dakota. Bama really close to a quad 4 loss tonight. Alabama wins, they survive, they move on. I don't want to talk about this anymore, but we're going to talk about it for about the next 7 or 8 minutes, and then we're not going to talk about it anymore. And that's going to be it. Catfish courtside, let's roll. Whew, it was ugly. Oh, it was ugly. But Alabama gets out of North Dakota. The Fighting Hawks, used to be the Fighting Sioux, but, had to change name. Grant Nelson homecoming. And Alabama escapes 97-90 over the University of North Dakota. Again, it wasn't pretty, but it was a win, and it was one that, some other people in the state might give us some hell about for a little bit. They might talk about it. They might point fingers. They might reference it here and there. But either way, it goes as a win. Alabama goes to 9-2 on the season. Grant Nelson gets the nice little, home crowd thing. And you just simply move on. And in the words of Chris Stewart, you get the hell out of there. So looking at tonight, a couple of guys for the Crimson Tide, not surprising whatsoever. And Grant Nelson, 23 points. He and Mark Sears both led the way for the Crimson Tide. 3-point line, Bama was better tonight, 32%. The Tide put up 62 points in the second half. This is a game where Alabama actually trailed as 24-point favorites. Bama trailed at the half, 38-35. Bama turns it on. They shoot better in the second half, put up 62 points, which is insane. It's absurd. Not that North Dakota is a great team. They're 4-9 now. They were absolutely raided by the transfer portal in the offseason. But that team put up 52 in the second half. They couldn't miss tonight. Shot 41% from beyond the arc. They attempted 41 three-pointers. How many times do you see an Alabama team actually have fewer attempts under Nate Oates than the opponent from beyond the arc? Well, you saw it tonight. Crimson Tide, again, 11 of 34, 32%. But the Fighting Hawks, 17 threes made, 41 attempts, 41% from beyond the arc. Crimson Tide, really, really sloppy in the first half, like embarrassingly sloppy. 13 turnovers in the first half. They only had 1 in the second half. Took much better care of the basketball. 11 turnovers for North Dakota. And it was cool to see. Like, it was a fun atmosphere in the sense that it felt like the Maui Invitational, but in mid-December rather than over Thanksgiving. It was a small gym, 3,300 people. Actually, a lot of Alabama fans there, a lot of Alabama supporters. I even wonder how many of those were there, maybe not Crimson Tide fans or faithful, but wearing the crimson, the white, the gray, whatever it may be, in support of Grant Nelson, who hometown grew up playing ball just 90 miles away. That's what it, just kind of wonder, but small, tiny venue. And you could tell North Dakota was jacked. Like, they were pumped. And Alabama was this close to having a 2007 Louisiana Monroe moment. They were this close to Avery Johnson and Norfolk State in the first round of the NIT with the 1 versus 8 seed. It was right there. And thankfully, Alabama able to pull through. But here's the hard part about this game, okay, is that this game sucks all the way around. It was supposed to be a pageantry, homecoming, Grant Nelson, get your pat on the ass. Hey, play in front of the home fans, put up some gaudy numbers, which he did, by the way. Grant Nelson had a hell of a game. But put up those numbers, high five, sign the autographs, take the pictures, take the selfies, get on the plane, go back to Tuscaloosa. Instead, Alabama showed up and ended up in a dogfight. And this is coming off of a schedule where they went to Purdue. They hosted Illinois and Birmingham. They played Houston. They played Rutgers. They played Oregon. They go to North Carolina. They host Creighton. That was the gauntlet that Alabama just finished. And then they just lollygag up to North Dakota. 24-point favorites. That was, looking back at it, obviously hindsight's 2020. Why weren't all my kids' Christmas presents bet on North Dakota plus 24? There was nothing in the world. It was kind of like when Nick Saban used to coach against former assistants, like when Jim McElwain was at Colorado State. Like, you knew Colorado State was going to cover. Nick Saban was not going to cover 32 points against Jim McElwain. And you could kind of get those trends. Like, this one, looking back, was so obvious from a point spread. But again, it was ugly. You just get out of there. You take the victory. You forget about this. It felt like a March game. It felt like a 3 versus a 14, a 2 versus a 15, although North Dakota won't even be in the tournament unless they win the Summit League. But they're 4-9. They've only won one of their last 7 or 8 games. I think last 8. They're 1-7 in their last 8. They're not a good basketball team. And to hang around like that, you call it and make excuses or give whatever credit you want. It should have never been a game like this. And Alabama avoids disaster. Grant Nelson gets the homecoming. Sears looks good. And you just don't want to talk about this one anymore. You just want to move on. And you just want to get ready for Kent State, who's coming in on Sunday to Tuscaloosa. And then South Dakota State, and then move on to conference play. But this is one just erased from the memory. You don't want to be, and thank God it didn't happen, because you don't want to be in February or March arguing that you can't be a 1 seed because you got a quad 4 loss on your resume. So good for Bama. Some other guys from tonight. Bama had 5 guys in double figures. Mentioned Nelson, mentioned Sears. LeBaron Philon had a nice game. Drove to the rack quite a bit, shared the ball twice, had a couple of steals defensively, 6 of 10 from the field, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Houston Mallette, 10 points. And then Chris Youngblood, his second game with Alabama, he recorded 10 points in 19 minutes. Devontae and Sherelle both got on the floor for Alabama, 8 minutes and 3, though. Not a lot of time there. Aiden Holloway, who has had some really brilliant games, didn't have anything major tonight. Again, they kind of overshadowed mainly by Nelson and Sears. Stevenson's got to pick it back up. Saw a few things from him tonight, had a couple of turnovers. And when I say saw some things, like not good things, he did hit 1-3 in the second half, but he turned it over a couple of times, only had 3 points. You saw him start to turn it around at the end of the Vegas tournament. And then at North Carolina, he looked pretty good. But now it's kind of tapered back off. So we're going to need to see more consistency there. And consistency is going to be the name of the game for this Alabama team as the Tide gets ready for conference play after the next 2 matchups. This Bama team, as hard as the SEC is, right now, the expectations, they were number 2 preseason. And there are a lot of teams inside the conference that look to be better already at this point. Now, luckily, it's not March. But if it was March right now, you'd be very nervous about how Alabama looks compared to some of these other conference teams. Not that Alabama is not talented enough, deep enough to win the whole thing. They are. But the way these other teams are playing, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, Florida looks good. Oklahoma looks good. There's a lot of teams. I mean, the SEC could be a 12-bid conference. I mean, 10 almost looks automatic at this point. But they could stretch it even further than that. It's so deep. Like we mentioned on the last show, 12-6 could actually win the SEC. A quick nod over to the North Dakota side. The show, we couldn't do it or wouldn't do the show justice if we didn't mention Trayson Eaglestaff. A career night. This was insane. 35 minutes on the floor, 8 of 18 from beyond the arc, 15 of 30 from the field in total, 40 points against the Crimson Tide. He couldn't miss. It was unbelievable. what he was able to put up tonight. So credit to him. North Dakota, hell of a fight, but Alabama, some things have to get better. Still a lot of season to go, still a lot of time to work together, still a lot of time to build that chemistry for the run in March. But right now, you look at the race, other teams are currently ahead of schedule compared to what Alabama's doing. But again, we're only 5-6 weeks into the season, long time to go. But Alabama not looking like the number 2 team in the country that they were preseason. However, we'll see what happens over these next couple as they get ready for SEC play. Coming up as well on the channel, we are going to, on Mondays now, start breaking down AP poll and bracketology every single Monday for you, in addition to the game recaps that we do every single post game or the next day after. So hope you enjoyed those. We'll have those either on Monday night or Tuesday mornings for you. And just kind of take a look at that, what's going on, follow the tide, and where Joe Lenardi has them and his ESPN bracketology. Currently, the Tide sits at number 6 overall. They are in the Iowa State bracket, who is number 1 in that quadrant. And I believe it's in Newark in the East is where Iowa State currently sits. So Bama, 2 seed, they're number 6 overall, according to Lenardi. And we'll see how that plays. But as we talk about the SEC a lot, or have been already, SEC right now, 3 projected number 1 seeds: Tennessee, Auburn, and Kentucky. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. So we'll see what happens with the Crimson Tide. Sunday, Kent State comes to Tuscaloosa, Coleman Coliseum. Bama will be at home for their next 3 before hitting the road in their first conference game. I believe that is at South Carolina after matching up with Oklahoma on January the 4th. So anyway, that'll do it for us today. Quickly, we'll tell you about, again, as always, and I appreciate you guys, those of you who have reached out. New programs are out. Scan that QR code right there for a 0 down payment option. Purchasing, refinancing, we're helping people save $600-700 a month. Also just rolled out a HELOC Express. The HELOC Express is amazing, by the way. You literally can apply and close in the same day. You can apply and close same day, wait 3 days, have your money in your account on the 5th day. That's as fast as I can humanly do it. Apply, close, same day, money in your account on day 5. Purchasing, scan the QR code. Refinancing, HELOC, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, give me a call. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back on Monday with bracketology, AP poll, and a recap for Bama and Kent State at Sunday's game in Coleman Coliseum. All right, roll Tide, keep your head up. Alabama 9-2, escape with a win. We'll see you on Monday.